right? Like
Yeah.
when they say AI back and it's not AI, it's like,
Yep.
I like, okay, maybe I thought you might know that one at least. Um, but uh happy Thursday, everybody. LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First AI Daily, your collaborative intelligence report, August 20th, 2026. Nico, how we doing?
Doing good. Doing very, very good. Um, yeah, can't complain. Gotten gotten some progress, some forward progress on the Oracle, so I'm somewhat happy there, but it's still getting there. It's tougher to put back together than I remember. Say that much. It's different when you have to
Yeah,
build it from like an external standpoint as opposed to just like telling Claude like, "Hey, here's what the deal is." But that's what I was talking about earlier. Actually, was the fact that when we were doing that, yeah, all well and good, but somebody's got to keep up with it every day. Like there was no way to just like, "Hey, auto insert this into whatever," right?
right. And now we
So
got some agents that maybe can help with that. Uh, it's yeah, it's interesting. Like, oh, just all the passion, everything that comes together to like that honeymoon moment when you're building it for the first time, and then like the idea of how did we do this last time? And now you're trying to talk to AI to like remember, and it's moved on, it's evolved. That's probably looking
right,
back like, man, it's like those moments where you look at the video from like 5 years ago and it's like, oof, oof, that was rough. I wonder if it's looking back like, what the hell was I thinking? Say suggesting that stuff was gonna happen. Like, man. Um, yeah, no, it's been fun. It's like don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of frustration, right? No matter how much fun we're having. I'll start with the good stuff. Um, I've been talking to Nico a while, like, so getting better with this, like these commands where this is a page that did not exist prior to an hour ago. And this was the first time in a while where it's just the one command, VF-AI-daily, no other context, nothing else inside of the session, but fresh session, right?
yeah,
And I was on the call with George, need to remember to do it. Thankfully I remembered, hit it, and then half an hour later, I'm like, let me see how they're doing. And this was like all done. All this was done, including the section that they have been missing every single time, which is this one. Like five thumbnails all done,
the kit.
available.
Yep.
Uh yep. And that includes this top three of the day, which I was looking at it a little bit and I saw some moments where they were or no, that was a question I had to answer. It's like, well, yesterday you didn't like this. So what should we do? And we're gonna go through them, but I've got some ideas for oh, how do we talk about all the important stuff without all the work required to know what the important stuff is to
Mm,
show. Like, because I don't doubt, like, and that's where it's like kudos to the Moonshots team that just like, man, they get so many stories in an episode and all the stuff that's been prepped for everybody to know what's going on. Meanwhile, it's like, it texted me this morning. Now we're talking about it. I just love that stuff. Top three today. OpenAI's finance chief told staff the company will be public in 2027 or sooner if growth holds. The paperwork is already in. A confidential S1 went to the SEC on June 8th, filed but sealed. When that day comes, what running a frontier model actually costs becomes an audited quarterly number. The first outside look at that math. Yeah, why would you like if you didn't have to do this part? Why would you?
I
Like,
mean, yeah. So I mean, well, I mean, the problem is you have to, right? Um, and what's funny to me is how many. First of all, this is just in like it's tit for tat all day long between OpenAI and Anthropic. So this is a direct response to Anthropic's recent press release, which is we're going public in like a month, right? So like they had to say something in order for their investors not to get scared away from wanting to dump more money into OpenAI. Um, Oddly, I'm not sure how it works because I don't know who spends money on what, like who burns in what direction on what stuff. OpenAI clearly burns more R&D cash, simply if not staff, for sure, just because of the fact that they try to take on video like that and audio, like with the transcription and stuff, like in and of itself, like those things are probably eating up a lot of resources. Yes, they're not doing Sora anymore, but they didn't stop doing video. They're still doing it on the back end. It's still an aspect of the model training. Um, Even image, right? Still keeping up with image generation. That's like Claude's not doing that, right? Anthropic's not doing that. So that's one less spend on Anthropic's balance sheet. So I say that because OpenAI actually ends up being slightly behind Anthropic when it comes to revenues. I shouldn't say slightly behind. $20 billion is a pretty big difference. But it's pretty ridiculous to me that OpenAI is at like I don't think people are paying attention to the fact that these guys are hitting the numbers like almost right on the head. Where OpenAI is at like 46 billion or something like that for the year. So they are technically now that doesn't mean 46 billion in profit. It just means 46 billion earned. You know how much they spend on again on R&D. I think actually still exceeds that number, but they still look on track to be able to potentially hit 100 by the end of the year. Maybe I don't know. Like I don't know what late year spending looks like for them necessarily. If it's anything like you know, I don't think it's like retail sales at all or anything like that. But I don't know what goes on in terms of contracts. Maybe something gets approved that really boosts it or whatever. Either way, um, both of them are going to be public next year. These two combined with SpaceX, and Tesla, like it just starts to just really carry things forward economically for everyone. Like Anthropic is going public in like somewhere between August or September 8th and 16th or something like that. Um, and when they do go public, like I mean, I will dump into that like immediately. I don't even care. It would be really ridiculous to me. I mean, most of your like your retirement funds and your IRAs and all that kind of stuff are going to be tied to it because it's such like that's the thing is if they're getting involved, it's like it's such a sure bet. That's the only reason they'd be getting involved, right? And again, it's an what you're buying is infrastructure. It would be like buying an electrical, like buying shares in an electrical company. So there's really like the reasons to not do it don't exist. Basically, like it's really if you didn't buy into Anthropic, it would be weird. And I'm not even saying that to like try to pump up the stock. I'm just saying that like it's a company that's not going anywhere ever, really, unless there is like the most massive screw up internally that you could think of. It's Amazon, right? So like it's not going anywhere.
right. Yep. Uh, yeah.
It's a new
Like you
Anthropic
just
story.
start having to answer different kinds of questions when you go this route. So, I and like he's been so good at raising money, like
Yeah.
outside. Like that's
Well,
a
the
big
nice part is they're both filing as PBCs, so they can't exceed um, the public good in pursuit of profit. So thankfully, even though those quarterly numbers, like, yeah, we have to show something. Like, I agree. Like, it definitely sucks because it's not taking into account like what the potential cumulative could be, right? As a result, you're just looking at current. But again, as long as it trends and it trends upward, then kind of doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah. Number 2, a review of every FDA cleared AI medical device found 3 of 1,357 were tested against outcomes like death or readmission. Only 12. Oh, this is new. Uh, okay. Only 12 of them ever published a positive. Only 12 of them ever published a prospective trial at all. Anyone buying AI on a certification is buying that same gap. The count rests on registered trials and published papers, so evidence a manufacturer holds privately would not appear in it. And yesterday we're talking about the concept of agents having takes. I don't know if that was live or not, but
Yeah.
but here it is. Crucible's take, who happens to be the newest agent on the team that I brought in to help train the Inkling, or however that training's going, like the LLM training expert. An instrument that cannot fail is not measuring. Clearance asked whether these are equivalent to what came before, not whether the patient does better. And children were almost entirely absent from the trials that ran. This is not a no on benefit. It is nobody having run the test that could say. I don't. Yeah, we'll work on that.
I tell you, it's throwing me entirely.
Let's.
Analytical devices cleared. 3 actually tested on patient. Okay. It's weird that repositioning of the title clears it up entirely for me, like immediately.
Yeah. Right. Wow, this is a heavy one too. So.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so high level, again, I haven't read it or anything like that, but high level is like from the headline, of all of the devices that they tested, only 3 of them were, again, actually tested on patient outcomes. So not like the rest of those weren't really, just kind of synthetic. I'm assuming they were just synthetic runs and simulations.
Yeah. So it looks like just tools are entering clinical practice at unprecedented speed, but their impact on patient outcomes remains largely untested. Right. I think, again, we're seeing that everywhere. It's like you cannot, by the time you were to do a normal clinical trial.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Right.
So they're letting them out, but they haven't actually been able. Sorry. Yeah. So that is the case. They haven't actually tested the outcomes.
Right. So, FDA clearance often functions as a gateway for global deployment, raising ethical concerns when under validated tools are introduced into low and middle income countries without contextual validation or safeguards.
Yeah, like
Yep.
This makes full sense in terms of, so what's interesting is like I'm sure you can run a ton of simulation, right? Like Moderna couldn't have kicked out the COVID vaccine without having done that. There's no way, right? I'm sure they just ran just the most asinine amount of simulation you could possibly come up with. So, I mean, that's how it's being done now. Like we're discovering new vaccines and new, legitimately, everybody was like, I thought they were going to come up with new cures. They are. Now they're coming. Now they're doing that, right? So like all the stupid complaints about like AI, when is it going to do? It's doing it. You're just not paying attention. That's the difference.
Right.
So yeah, like releasing all these devices, it's what I see coming is, hey, did you go through Atlassian's check or whatever? You know what I mean? I see there being a company that is going to be that gateway that essentially checks to see whether or not that device has undergone enough simulated testing to qualify for release, right? Because I don't really see clinical trials are the exact same thing as simulated testing, right? Except that it's not a simulation. You're testing on real people who got paid very little money to accept very serious risks in order to see if some drug would work out all right.
Right. Yeah, this
So
last line,
yeah,
like readiness should no longer be defined by FDA clearance alone, but by demonstrated durable and equitable benefit to patients.
yeah,
Um, like related to our conversation about like when models break free and do bad stuff, like as one of the ways to figure out what you need to fix, and it's very hard to prevent, like do it in a prevention way. Like you got to kind of react to it. That's where we're gonna be here. Like you're not gonna get, you won't be getting this from a clinical trial anymore.
right,
It'll be like real people. You've tested it, like developed all these probably better testing methodologies, like thanks to AI. And, but you won't really know until that person that has a great need, like and signed up for the thing, right, participating. And like with the innovation, right, that can happen, it just again it breaks all of the old ways, right?
yeah,
Like because like if I'm signed up for something and I know something new just came out,
mhm,
that it's super clear that that is a better version or a better alternative to the thing that you're giving me, like don't, let's not finish this path, like switch me to that other path please, right? Like I don't, yeah, it's hitting every domain, right? The speed is just uh cannot be cannot be measured in the same way. Like
no,
just can't be. And that Moderna thing, like that was a great example. But like most of the reason that they could speed out the door like that is because they didn't have to do half of the shit that you normally have to do, like to
right.
get through approvals and stuff like that. And it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So the system can be more efficient. All right. That's good to know. Uh, number one,
Hmm.
Marvell
Yep.
gave Google warrants worth Marvell gave Google warrants worth up to 12.2 billion in Marvell stock to lock in the custom AI chip business.
Okay, more tranium
The
excitement.
rival that has been supplying that buyer until now fell on the news. Uh, the package vests in tranches as orders land, and the work it secures runs roughly 120 billion over about a decade. Let me see if Reuters gives me easier words to
Yeah, I was
say.
gonna say you got to tell the boys to break that down into
Like you're not like
water
Pulitzer
cooler chat.
Prize
Yeah,
winning writers over here. Like,
got
um,
to write to the audience.
yeah, what a good way to paint Google. The search giant. That's what everybody sees them as. Uh, okay.
In
So Google,
book
yeah,
one.
this inner loop still coming together.
Oh, I see. I see. So it's another circular deal. Um, except that because Alphabet's public, people can get in on it.
All right. Yep. Just so like some direct feedback, since they seem to be missing this point. Like here it says larger rival Broadcom, which had been Google's main custom chip partner so far, fell more than 5% at this news. And like um,
This
somewhere
was
it says
right
like
at the top, the rival.
the rival. Like, gotta tell me it's Broadcom,
Right.
bros. Like, anyways, uh, yeah, the stack, the vertical stack, the inner loop. It's gonna keep going into XAI and like X in general, Google's going to keep building out like the way that Nvidia is partnering up with people. Get chips, get energy, get data, get uh, models, intelligence, reasoning.
Compute.
What's that fourth thing? Compute. Yep. And that's how you're gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, if you were to like trying to play the market at this point, what's nice is that, and I don't know, like I don't know if they're doing this as a result of or in preparation for or whatever, but now you can like fractionally buy pretty much any stock where before you had to buy like single shares, you weren't able to buy fractional shares. So again, like even if you can only get fractional shares into Anthropic or whatever, um, you know, these are companies and these are stocks and that they're not going anywhere but up. Like they just aren't. Like yeah, I don't know any other way of putting it. Like in order for Anthropic to again like outside of some like major internal thing, which even look at Tesla suffered quite the major internal blow and still managed to come out clean on the other side. So the only thing that could really tank it would be if whatever power companies decided to just up and stop supplying, or Nvidia crashed for some reason and we lost like all the chip fab companies. Like that kind of thing would definitely affect it, but outside of that, the company is not going to lose value ever.
When you say fractional, how much are we talking?
Fractions. So like legitimately, 0.0215 of a share.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it's that far down. Yeah, it could definitely be itty bitty bits.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe to help streamline some of these news stories and like make sure like I want to make sure we're hitting breakthroughs. Like that's the stuff like people aren't paying attention because it's hard to find that information in the midst of like all these model breakouts and all the other news of model drops every day. Like there are medical breakthroughs happening. And I want a spot for those. I want to make sure those hit. And I would imagine it's like instead of like trying to prioritize, like or like weight it, right? We don't want to bias it either. So I'm thinking like 3 tracks of like, inner loop, infrastructure stuff, like model drops, and then like breakthrough style stories. Like pick from one of each, or just like I'm gonna figure out how to give that instruction like to the team and see what they come up with for like just making sure we can talk about the top stories without also like biasing it uh, too much is always the challenge, right?
Yeah, that's it definitely sucks, especially lately, because it seems like it's just pedal to the metal. Like if you give it a suggestion for something, it's like, yeah, definitely, and it just like goes, laser focused into that direction, and then you're like, no, pull it back a little bit, more like this. Bam, laser focused into the other direction, like forgets everything it did before. And you're like, okay, I said like this, so you've got some of these aspects. We want to combine some of these things. Like try to meet me in the middle here. Which again, often helps to describe what you don't want to end up with, right? So it's almost in the cases where you are, I would say, like in the cases where you're it's like 5-6 times going through it and you're just not getting what you want, just give it a very simple single sentence of what you want and then spend the rest of the prompt on what you don't want and what you want to avoid, right? So that it's like it's more about, okay, make this and then stay away from any of these things, so anything else might fall into the correct basket, right? And then at least from there you can be like, yeah, lean more into that, like 20-30% or
Yeah, we feel you. We feel you question everything.
something.
I finally got Perplexity involved with the ongoing saga I've been dealing with. Like, because there might be agreement from the agent team that there is like some poison that has traveled through all of the documentation of them just over documenting all of the pain and fixing of said pain throughout all of the documents. And then when I try to take another level and like, all right, we're going to do things differently, they start to do that based on all the scar tissue that's in the system, which makes it wrong. And so I've started a clean room strategy of this layer of documentation that's supposed to be like, hey agent, you're in this folder. Here's what's supposed to be in it. Here's what's not supposed to be in it. Like, and I've had to take it off of the repo to be like, hey, here's the goals. And like I did also went to Gemini too, and I was like, hey Gemini, if you saw a folder in a repo named roadmap, what would you expect to be in it? And it gave me a great list of 5 groups of things. And I was like, I need that. I need it to be that easy. And it's just there's so much stuff that has built up over time. And I think this comes back to like, and as I'm talking about this, I'm trying to use like Anthropic's decision to cut the prompt by 80%. And like this curve of like we couldn't over prompt, and then we figured out how to over prompt, and that was a good thing, and now it's not a good thing anymore. And like all of the infrastructure built up to support the extra prompting now creates a lot of extra that is just like getting in the way. And I like the outcome of the first value profile document that I created, but uh, it's going to be more manual than I'd like it to be. But I know it's without just throwing it all out and starting over. Like my team is not in a place to where they cannot be biased by what has been done to solve this problem, right? It's kind of like folks that need to bring in consultants because every human inside the company is drinking their own Kool-Aid or can't get past the interpersonal dynamics, and you just need that outside thing. Be like, stop, like you're overthinking it. That's exactly what's happening here. So that's the update there. But it relates to like, yeah, uh, the training data says humans like numbers, or humans like the documentation of every break and fix and everything that got done. So if that looks like it might be needed, I'm going to do it as an agent or as the model, right? And that's a lot of the issue here. And it's like, I trust you, man. I want to trust you. I don't need all the receipts.
That's the thing,
I
is
don't,
you want to.
right? So how's Oracle looking over there?
Oracle is looking okay. And it's good on seems like it's good on events. Not I'm looking into general chat, and that's not something that's really into it yet. Let's see. Chat.
I'll just hit this question real quick. So if I wanted to start a clean room scenario, what would be the best process to begin that? Like, it's definitely the outside source, because the frustrating part is the model will be like, yeah, that's a problem. We should solve that. And then they don't. So so like you're figuring out what the problem is and what to avoid, but they cannot go in there and like see the stuff and then start from a clean room. I mean, it's like a human, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
reason, like when you're talking to a colleague in the office and you're like, you know what, we're not making a lot of progress here. Let's just go early happy hour, like change the environment, like just get out of this work mode so that we can have a real conversation, right? That's what it's feeling like. Um, and so I'm using uh, the Claude based team, the agent team, to like create the brief and stuff. But I got the real simple response from Gemini to be like, is this, first of all, is it as simple as I think it should be? And if I don't understand this response or this response from Gemini doesn't hit, then okay, maybe it's not. Maybe we have to go a little deeper, but it was. So
Mhm.
then Perplexity, I can see the repo, but since I'm not starting the conversation from the repo, it's not starting with the CloudMD file. Like I have to point out stuff to it for it to see it. And so there's a little bit more control there, uh, and less risk of it accidentally seeing, and being biased by something that, because I guess in those cases, I'm not talking to an agent. I'm not talking to somebody from the agent team.
Right.
I'm talking to Perplexity,
Yeah.
right? Which is
Yeah.
what I've been wanting to kind of build in, of like this just objective, like maybe I have overbiased
Third
the
party.
system and I just need the training data and the super awesome intelligent being to like to suss out what's what, right? And just like knowing that it's going to take an objective stance unless I point it to a specific bias in some way, I'm experiencing like a benefit to that because I could walk through the document real quick, get it like scar tissue free, basically,
Mhm.
and then start to show it and compare it and be like, okay. And that's where it's at the point. It's like, okay, we've done this a couple times now. We've got like 120 files to do this with. And if I had to, but if we have to go through the process of starting from 100% and cutting 80% from all of them, like nobody's proven that they can just cut all 80%. It's like, all right, let's cut. Oh, this 30% is obvious. Oh, but this stuff looks, do you want me to cut that too? Yep. It's like, you get to the 20%, but nobody got time for that.
Nobody get time for that.
So hopefully through that, through the clean room exercise, I can get the documentation in place that is trusted. And then the agent team will have very clear instructions on how to move forward from there. That won't be poison anymore. All right. So we got ask the Oracle whether a claim about AI progress holds up and where it lands on the path to the singularity.
Yeah, and have an update processing now to give us a chat mode that'll be a little bit more back and forth than this is. But these are essentially, you go to any AI model, most of them have like the suggested prompt or what have you. And so where you would have a suggested prompt in other models, here like it has to be relative. So needed to force and enforce the rule that, hey, if you're going to pull something, basically it's pulling some type of story that lands in the top whatever for these categories, and just again as suggested ones. But it could be that you have a story from somewhere else and you just paste it in there. And you can paste the link so it can go search for the story and get it directly, or paste the headline, which is a little bit less accurate. I do want to put the 1.6 nanometer chip story in there. and see what that comes back with, because that one is pretty good. So put that in. So it's got a few different steps. Scout is what it sounds like, goes out and looks for additional internet sources to verify what the claim is. Gauntlet, same thing, goes through this gauntlet of checks to make sure and see, like, hey, does this actually affect the singularity? Doesn't it? Is it a verified claim? Is it not a verified claim? Placement is, again, what it sounds like, where it gets placed on the map of things. And briefing is just the written response that comes out of it. Says it demoted it, and it's saying because it's not widespread yet. I have to check that, because there was something else that I looked at earlier, and it was like, yeah, that's a good claim, but it's not really spread out yet. Like, people aren't really using it yet. It was for fiber optics or something like that, like AI fiber optics, and it's like, yeah, no, that's awesome, but it's not really widespread, so it's not really going to affect anything. And it's like,
I mean, don't put that as the bar.
yeah, it's supposed to be like, hey man, what could it do? Not like what is it doing, right?
Shit, man, AI is not that widespread yet.
Right. So what's interesting is that, and if I back up, you can see the write up here. So demoted speculative claim. TSMC announced the A16 advanced logic chip. I need to get these links to actually drive to the sources where it got things from. Timeline to singularity, leaves the event unchanged, because again, there's like nothing actually rolled out yet, right? It's mainly that both companies are just talking, like, they're not talking trash, but they're both, I think TSMC said, like, yeah, we have a 2 nanometer thin chip, and IBM was like, well, we have plans for a 1.6. And so TSMC was just like, yeah, all right, well, we're going to at least update our chip fab so that we can suit 1.6 by December. So it's all just like maybe gonna produce these things. So I can kind of understand not wanting to take it as like, yeah, this is definitely happening and going to happen, but at least you can kind of see like what the draw out is for it, 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road. And that's what it's looking for. It's looking for volume production to be able to say, like, yeah, this is actually going to have like a big effect or something. Ghost milestones are essentially the potential, like what could happen based on what is happening. And then Ripple should explain itself. That's essentially what happens as a result of the technology being out. So what's nice is, though it gave the low percentage, it'll at least tell you like these precursors need to take place before this actually becomes a big deal. And then if it does, then it starts to shoot forward. And what's pretty sick is, like, if it takes place, then there's not a whole lot in between. It's kind of like, oh, okay, well, if it does happen, then we're going to end up with nanosheet transistor architecture, right? Then explicitly claims so nanosheet transistor architecture incorporated into TSMC, which would likely bring about power rail backside power delivery architecture used as a defining feature for announced A16 platform. Directly causes foundry customers to begin using A16. Advanced note, HPC accelerators gain possible power density option. So, and like the whole point of like these chips getting to where they're at is the scene from Terminator where he's talking about like semiconductors running at room temperature. It's exactly that. So like the thinner the chip gets, the less cooling it takes, like the more efficient it becomes. It becomes insanely efficient. Say volume production target gives customers tooling and vendors a schedule around which to qualify design rules, delivery methods, which could delivery networks, difficult signal routing requirements. Not entirely sure where that ties into things. So much like the news crew need to talk to the Oracle about like, hey man, can you put that in better terms that's more understandable? Um, what I want to see is
Yeah, now we
artificial.
need the pipeline of like articles to Oracle and like yeah, it's coming together, man.
Okay. So I wanted to see, like, this was a test question that I was like, yeah, look, until you can answer this question, not good enough to go live. So we'll see if the chat can answer this without. Yeah, see, I kind of figured it was going to still do that. But it is in tech chat mode, so dynamic updates placeholder. What I do like about this, in the causal graph aspect of things, that timer that's at the top is obviously its estimated time to singularity. And then the percentage is the percentage chance, because my guess is 2030. So it's the percentage chance that it happens at 2030. Um, so what's cool about it is that, like, if you happen to enter an event that does cause like a pretty significant amount of change, it does actually update the timer. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it looks like, because it was 19% and now it's like 20% because of some because of the potential with the fiber optic cables.
nice.
Okay, so what is confirmed? AI agents that operate inside of HubSpot. Breeze Assistant demonstrates and likely upgrades. Smart CRM is the data foundation. Agent interactions through API MCP connectors. New product announcements and broader platform. Best forecast is that some combination of more autonomous workflow agents, okay, cross hub agents. I mean, that's kind of a thing
It's a
now.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing. Um, Breeze Assistant enhancements, not really anything special there.
Yeah.
Already doing that. Already doing that. Yeah, it's not quite as
Press us, Oracle.
yeah, not quite as strong as it once was.
Yeah. We need
I
this
think it just
some
needs
work.
more time.
Yeah.
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 It's getting there.
But the fun part is we know we can help it get better and to
Yeah.
make it better.
And I mean, it's only 2 days and maybe tops 3 hours, I think. So it's going to take a little bit more time. 3 hours with anti-gravity Gemini Flash. So it's not, Claude hasn't even like had a hand on this thing yet. So I think I'm probably going to do like have Aries take a stab at it tonight and just be like, hey, can you just go through and fix all the stuff that Gemini was supposed to get right, but didn't get right at all?
Yeah. Uh, Not really schedule them. Maybe we should start. We do go live every day at 4:15, except for on Fridays where we do it a little bit earlier. Nico's started doing some Value First AI office hours Mondays and Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Central. And yeah, you also are going to be just going live on Discover with AI Nico stuff too, building stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's just
Whenever,
going to be
wherever.
so that's the thing, right? Is like this show has a schedule and office hours has a schedule, and then AI with Nico is like whenever. Like I'm just going to be building stuff for the foreseeable future and basically just flip on the live whenever. So
Yep. And this is exactly why we do it. We'd love to have you sit with us and learn.
yeah,
It's the only way to learn now, I think. Live content, building stuff. That's what we're about. So we appreciate you hanging out today. And tomorrow we'll be back a little bit earlier in the day
yeah.
and see everybody then. Thanks so much,
Have a
Nico.
good one. Great weekend, everybody.